Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all my Dark World Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for post-Phantom Rage. With the release of Phantom Rage, we were given a new spell card, not directly, linking to the Dark World deck, but definitely playing off of the playstyle of the deck. So I wanted to do a deck profile for Dark Worlds. I always actually held like a sort of grudge against this deck, if that's the best way to put it, just because when I originally got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! This was the newest deck that just came out, and everyone was playing it, and it would just be everything you saw at locals at the time, and I, basically had to go up against it with a Naturia deck, which is what I used at the, point back then. So it was definitely a hard matchup for sure. So like I said, I always had, negative feelings towards this deck, but I decided to, bury the hatchet and at least attempt a Dark World deck to show that, no hard feelings. I like all Yu-Gi-Oh decks equal now and enjoyed trying to play all the different play styles. But enough rambling. Let's go on with the deck profile. So for the Dark World lineup, we're running 3 Grapha, Dragon Lord of Dark World. You can special summon this card from your graveyard by returning 1 Dark World monster you control to the hand, except for Grapha, Dragon Lord of Dark World. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy that target. If this card was discarded from your hand to the graveyard by an opponent's card, then you look at 1 random card from your opponent's hand, and if it was a monster, you can special summon it to your side of the field. So basically, with all the Dark World cards, you have monsters that if they're discarded by your opponent's card effect, you have an extra beneficial effect. But most of the time, you're going to discard them by your own cards. So with Grapha just being the graveyard setup for destruction, but also being able to have that set up back on the field from your graveyard that easily by returning cards from your field to the hand that you can then discard later on using other cards you control, makes it a definite 3 of 4 that initial setup in the deck. And the fact that we are running some pretty strong rank 8s in the extra deck as well, you want to have a good number of these to match some of the other cards we're running in the deck. For more of the search power in the deck, I run 3 Snow on Light of Dark World. If this card is discarded to the graveyard by a card effect, if it was discarded from your hand to your graveyard by an opponent's card effect, you can target 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard and add 1 Dark World card from your deck to your hand, then special summon that target if any face up in defense position. So it's your search card for your Dark World card from your deck to your hand, most of the time being able to search out the field spell for the preferred card, with this card being able to have that search power. And then, like I said, just more extra beneficial setup if it was discarded by your opponent's card, being that 1 extra card you're able to add. But once again, just more and more search power relying on Snow, so you want to max out the numbers for this card as well. For the next card, which is Brow, Huntsman of the Dark World, I was actually only having 1 copy of this card, so I have Gold Warlord of Dark World filling in as just an extra spot. If you don't have Brow like I do, you can always play the Gold, which are a little more easier, I saw from just me picking up cards to come by. But with Brow being the more preferred card to go for, if this card is discarded from your hand to the graveyard by a card effect, you draw 1 card from your deck. If this card was discarded from hand to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, draw 1 more card from your deck. It's just draw power. You're going to go for the discard for a lot of different cards you control, so being able to rely on Brow for the draw power that it provides with the discard just gives you more and more resources. And also with our newest spell that we're running in the deck, which is the Charge into a Dark World, it has more beneficial power since it is a level 3 Fiend monster in the deck. One of our other lower level Dark World monsters that benefits from the newest spell, and that is Beige Vanguard of Dark World. If this card is discarded from the hand to the graveyard by a card effect, you special summon this card to your side of the field. So there's no extra beneficial effect for our opponent's cards with this card. It's just an easy special summon onto the field, giving us resources for whether it's, an Xyz summon from the extra deck or even just Link summon, you name it. We have plenty of options with this card to rely on, always giving us a resource when we discard it with our other spells that we run in the deck. And then lastly, for the Dark World monsters that I'm running, I also run 2 Silva Warlord of Dark World. If this card is discarded from your hand to the graveyard by a card effect, special summon this card from your side of the field. And if this card is discarded from the hand to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, if your opponent selects 2 cards in his or her hand and returns them to the bottom of the deck in any order. So this is, I would say, the most beneficial card that you have to work with when your opponent makes you discard a card. It will very rarely happen, but if you have that option available, this card will definitely be the beneficial target, giving you the the special summon, and just getting more and more resources out of your opponent's hand. I only run the 2 though. I have the search power with Snow, the setup with Grapha, and just easier special summon with some of my extra deck options with Beige, and the fact that it works better with the spell. That's why I'm running this card 3, but just the 2 Silva, just an additional monster to rely on for that special summon. But for more of the engine to rely on discarding for the Dark World monsters, I am running the Danger engine in the deck. I just think it's very, very useful. For the Xyz summons, maxing out Danger Mothman for my preferred go-to card. With the reveal effect for all the different Danger cards, Mothman just comes in handy, like I said, with me and my option to run rank 4 Xyz monsters in the extra deck. That's why I'm running 4 of this card. And also with this card, as you special summon, the discarded card was not Danger Mothman. You special summon 1 Danger Mothman from your hand. If you do, draw 1 card. If this card is discarded, you can have both players draw 1 card, then both players discard 1 card. And you can only use this effect of Danger Mothman once per turn. The discard draw is what I really like about it, because it plays into the fact of the Dark Worlds and all of their discard power, just adding for the discard of its original special summon effect, and then benefiting if you do discard Mothman even more. For some of the more level 8 powerhouse monsters in the deck, I run 2 Danger Thunderbird and 2 Danger Bigfoot. These go with the level 8 powers, having more destruction power and setup with both of these, and working very, very well with Grapha for the rank 8 Xyz summons that you can go into as well. Being able to rely on these cards for those plays especially. I run 2 and 2. I thought maybe 3 Bigfoot and 1 Thunderbird, but once again, it falls on to player options and player preferences at that point with which ones you want to run in the deck. And then for the one-ofs, I run the 1 Danger Nessie, the 1 Danger Tsuchinoko, and the 1 Danger Jackalope. All different levels than the, different Xyz we run in the deck, but still options for the discard power, giving you more resources on the field for your link plays, you name it. You have all these available to you with these final lineups in the Danger cards for the Dark World deck. But that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spell. Our main go-to spell in the deck is the Gates of Dark World. All Fiend-type monsters you control gain 300 attack and defense. Once per turn, you can banish 1 Fiend-type monster from your graveyard to discard 1 Fiend-type monster, then draw 1 card. Now, the only thing I considered over Danger Mothman in the deck was Danger Chupacabra, just for the Fiend-type option with the card. But once again, it just falls down to if the player wants to use it. I prefer the level 4 option. You have plenty of Fiend-type monsters set up with your Dark World engine that you run in the deck, so being able to have that discard power just helps to benefit for more and more your cards you run in the deck, and just being able to easily set this card up for the 3 of. You always want to have Gates of the Dark World. It's going to be a card your opponent's definitely going to try and target to destroy. Why I'm maxing this card out in the deck, so you always have that available card no matter what your opponent does to the copy you have on hand. You have more and more to rely on to go into. For the newest spell we're running in the deck, I run 3 Charge into a Dark World. You target 1 level 4 or lower Fiend-type monster in your graveyard, special summon it, then discard 1 Fiend monster. You can only activate 1 Charge into a Dark World per turn. With this card, it's more setup. It's basically like a play off of the Gates to the Dark World, being able to banish a Fiend-type monster from your graveyard, to discard 1 Fiend-type monster and draw 1 card. With this one, though, it's the option for the special summon, then discard 1 Fiend monster for that play, giving you more resources, and then giving you even more benefits from the discard that you will go off of with this card. It's just, like I said, very, very useful for that play style that you want to intend to do most of the time. And that's what I wanted to go for with all the different spells running in this deck, to always have a discard play to rely on in this deck to go into. Charge into a Dark World helps with that. Gates of the Dark World helps even more with that, with all the banishing for these Fiend-type monsters. It's just another option to consider. If you want to run more of a Link engine in the extra deck, you can always swap out the Mothman for Chupacabra if that's what you prefer, using this spell for its max power. But with Brow, Snow, and also your Beige, I feel you have plenty of targets to go for with this card altogether, and keep the Danger engine how it is. For more draw and discard power, I also run 3 Dark World Dealings. Each player draws 1 card, then each player discards 1 card. So depending on the deck, you may benefit your opponent by setting up more of their graveyard, but you just play it off of here with that. And then if this card's, too helpful for your opponent, you can always side it out for more efficient cards to, go up against your opponent come game 2 and 3 for this card and that setup. I also run for some of the one-ofs in the deck. 1 Pot Avarice. You're going to go through your resources very quickly in the deck and set up the graveyard With when you have cards like Grapha set up, that's fine, but some of the other ones you can shuffle back into the deck and benefit from drawing. Pot Avarice comes in handy for that, and the 1 card destruction. This card's still at 1 on the ban list. Very, very useful. Discarding, so the more and more monsters you have in your hand, the better with this card, and you could potentially take away a very good hand that your opponent has ready to go with card destruction, and then just give yourself all new resources to use. And I also run 2 Allure of Darkness, just with the majority of the monsters in our main deck, and actually all of them. I thought there were some danger monsters that weren't Dark Attribute. Just more draw power in this. I was relying on this card for the fact that, yes, you do banish the card, not discard it, but you just want to draw into, let's say you have 2, Graphas in your hand and no other discard power. As long as you have the Allure, you could potentially banish the 1 Grapha or draw into something even more important, or even another monster you could potentially banish, and then the 1 spell you needed to go for the discard play. And then that is it for the spells. For the trap, still sticking to my Infinite Impermanence lineup. For the decks I've been doing lately, once again, if you don't have Infinite Impermanence, I always give my recommendation of what card you can put in exchange for this card. With this deck, if you don't have Infinite Impermanence, I recommend Drag Down to the Grave. It's a spell card that makes each player discard a card from each other's hand. So just being able to choose an opponent's resource, and most of the time with your discard being a Dark World card, it's going to be very rarely that, they'll discard something that you couldn't benefit from in the graveyard to use. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I wanted to stick to the rank 4s that I normally run. So I'm running 1 number 62 Galaxy Eyes Prime Photon Dragon, 1 number 38 Hope Harbinger, 1 Dingirsu Orchis of Evening Star, and 1 number 68 Xenophon the Sky Prison. There are other rank 8s which anyone's free to try and run in this deck as well, but these are just my preferred 4 for going into the Grapha and Danger lineup. You can easily special summon onto the field and then go for these powerhouses in the extra deck. For the other Xyz monsters, because of Mothman and the level 4s, I run 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Tornado Dragon, and 1 Baguska for the rest of the lineup. I thought of Exciton Knight. We don't really have a field set up as often, but most of the time I want to keep my field spell, so that's why I thought of not using that one and just sticking to this lineup for the rank 4s. And for the Link monsters, I run 1 Barricade Board Blocker, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Wee Witch's Apprentice, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Cross Sheep, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and the 1 Saryuja Scaldread. With all the special summoning, this one definitely helps when I need just some more useful cards in my hand to go into. And then as for the plays in the deck, like I said, it all just comes off of what you can discard and draw when you activate your spell to draw and discard. If you can benefit from the field spell search, the destruction on your opponent, it all plays off of what you'll discard, whether it be special summon, or even draw power. You have all of these to rely on with the Dark World cards in the deck, and then the Danger Engine just providing to that discard engine while giving you the additional chance for a special summon on the field for you to extend your plays. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.